Hey everybody, Don Georgievich here with Job Interview Tools, and today I want to show you how to project the right image to an employer while you're interviewing for a job. Or what I really mean to say is why you must project the right image to an employer. I mean, image is everything. And if you're not projecting the right image to an employer, you're probably projecting the wrong one. If you're projecting the wrong image to an employer, you're out. Because one of the first things an employer is going to do is they are going to evaluate whether you are like-minded, whether your values are the same, whether your principles are the same as theirs, whether they think you're going to fit into their culture. Because before they do anything, they want to make sure you're going to fit into their culture and that you're like-minded. They don't care if you're qualified. They don't care about your experience yet. They care about whether you're a fit. Because even if you are qualified and you don't fit their mold, you don't fit their culture, you don't share the same values, then inviting you into their organization is like planting a weed. If you don't share those same values that are so important to them, then you're going to be a detriment to their culture. You're going to be a weed in their culture, and you are going to inhibit growth in their culture. And they don't want that because they already have a set of employees that are like-minded, that share the same values and principles and fit into their culture. So you need to associate yourself with what their values are. You need to show them that you're like-minded. So how do you do this? How do you project the right image to an employer when maybe you don't know what their image is? You have to know what their image is. So what you can do, for example, understanding their company culture will help guide you in determining how you want to project yourself. Now, in bigger companies, it's a lot easier to find out what their culture is. In the smaller ones, it can be a little bit harder. You might have some work to do. Maybe you can try to talk to some people who've worked there so you can kind of find out what it is. But for some of the bigger companies, you can find out what their culture is like. For example, if we were to Google, culture at IBM, everybody knows IBM, you would find out that they are driven by their values, not by their products. So they're a values-driven company. So knowing that, if I had an interview with IBM, I would find out what their values are, and then I would align myself with those values. I would prepare to speak their language. So when I go into the interview, I sound like them. I talk like them. I have the same ideas as them. And I'm mirroring who they are and what they are. And so when they see that, they're like, hey, you look like us, you sound like us, you understand us. I think you should be one of us. That's how you get them. And that's how you hook an employer into seeing the real value in you. You show them that you're like them. Then they're going to want to bring you in. It's as simple as that. And that's how you differentiate yourself from everybody else. Because you're smarter. You're smarter than everyone else because, well, for one, you're here watching me today and you're trying to make yourself better. You're trying to improve yourself. So I know you're better and I know you're smarter. This is going to give you the edge. So find out what the values are of the company, align yourself to those values, and then be that person in the interview. You're going to go so much farther. Now, let's look at another example. Let's say we look up Apple culture. And maybe you know this, maybe you don't. But if you Google Apple culture, what's important to them is innovation. New products and innovation. Sure, they have values, they have principles, but they're not a values-driven company like IBM. They're a product and innovation company. So now you know something about Apple. Now you know how to go in and align yourself with Apple. You talk about how you are innovative. You talk about innovation. You talk about maybe things that inspire you. You talk about ideas you've had. Show them that you are a wealth of ideas. And that's going to help you align yourself with Apple's culture. And you know what? They're going to say, hey, we like the way you're thinking. You think like us. You sound like us. Why don't you come on over here? We think you belong over here with us. That's how you do it, my friend. I mean, Amazon, another example. Amazon is a very customer-focused, data-driven company. That's their value. So knowing that, you go into the interview at Amazon and you talk about how you love working with customers and how you love making sure customers are satisfied and taken care of and they get everything they need. That's the angle you take in Amazon. So you know their values, and then you be that person in the interview, whatever those values are. And you know what? You might also find that you are not the person. You don't fit. Maybe you read the Amazon values statement and you're like, you know what? That's not who I am. And so maybe that's not a good company for you to work at. Or maybe IBM isn't a good company for you to work at because you're not that person inside. I mean, you know who you are deep down inside. And if you put yourself in a position at a company where you know you fundamentally and ideologically don't fit, you're not going to be happy there. You're not going to be happy there. So do this exercise, not to trick a company into hiring you and not, trying to put on a charade and be something that you're not. Use this as an opportunity to find out who they are and what they're about. And then decide if that's you. If that's you, then go in there. Gangbusters, and be that person. Be that person in the interview. And let your true colors shine. Blossom in the interview. And you'll be so passionate about everything you're saying and everything that you've done that you'll just naturally come alive in that interview. And they will want to hire you. They will want to invite you into their culture. That's how you do it. To go just a little bit deeper on values, I want to give you a personal example. Let's say you are going on a first date with someone who's an animal lover. And let's say you happen to be a hunter. So going on a first date with someone who loves fuzzy bunnies and kitty cats, and then you talk about, how you love hunting, probably isn't going to make for a second date because you are at odds. You're ideologically opposed to this person's values. So this person isn't going to want to go on a date with you again. Now, let's say you know that this person you're going on a date with is an animal lover, and let's say, you are an active hunter, and there's nothing wrong with that. But knowing that this person loves fuzzy bunnies and kitties, maybe you don't bring up that you're a hunter. Maybe instead you talk about your own love of animals. Maybe you talk about the dog you have or the bunny you had when you were a kid. I mean, you can still be a hunter and still love animals. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you see where I'm going with this, maybe if you are a hunter, maybe you don't want to be dating someone who's an animal lover or a vet. Maybe there's just too much of a difference there. There's too much friction. And, that just goes back to values and principles between an employer and an employee. That's why it's so important that your own values and principles need to be aligned with theirs. And that's why they only want to hire people whose values and principles are aligned with theirs, because otherwise you're a weed in their culture. And they don't want to invite people who are not a fit into their culture. I mean, sure, maybe you're qualified, maybe you have a lot of experience, and maybe that's why you're struggling. Maybe that's why you're struggling with getting hired somewhere, because you have a ton of experience. You are a master at your craft. You know what you're doing, but no one's hiring you. And maybe they're not hiring you because you don't fit their culture. You're not a values fit. Your principles aren't aligned with theirs. Or maybe they are, but maybe you're not making that clear. Maybe you don't know what their principles are. And maybe you're not showing them how you are related, how you can fit into their culture. That's one of the biggest mistakes most candidates make, is they think it's all about answering the right questions. That's what they think about. That's what they think getting hired is. It's all about answering the right questions and having the experience. Why else wouldn't you want to hire me? It's so much more than that. It's so much deeper. And this is the thing that most candidates don't understand. And this is why I want you to go out on your next interview, find out what the culture is like at this company, and then align yourself with it. Show them that you are like-minded. Show them that your values and principles, show them that your values are aligned with their mission statement. Find out what their mission statement is. That's where they list their values and their principles and what drives their company. So find out what that is. Align yourself to that. If you're a match, if you're not, then that's a signal for you to not even waste your time and to go somewhere else. But if you are a fit, if you are a fundamental fit for their mission statement and their values and their principles, then go in there and be that person. And then combined with that and your experience, it's a no-brainer. You're going to get the job. Hands down, I guarantee it. If you don't, you're going to be a top contender for it. So do that, my friend. Go out there on your next interview and align yourself with their culture, and you will go so much farther. I guarantee it. Now, on your next interview, make sure that you get a copy of the complete interview answer guide. This is the quick download. It's got over about 150 different questions in it. It's going to teach you the right framework to use when you're answering their questions, because they're going to ask you questions too. They're going to ask you, why do you want to work here? What are your weaknesses? Tell me about yourself. What can you do for us that no one else can? They're going to ask you all those questions, and I go into great detail in this guide, and I show you how to do it. You can get this guide in physical form, hard copy, ebook, audio, video, whatever you like. It's a quick download from jobinterviewtools.com. It's like $47. Be a great investment. It's also got a whole bunch of different questions that you can use to ask employers, because it's important that you ask them questions too. This helps you qualify them whether they are a good fit for you. So this is going to teach you the right questions that you can ask an employer. So before your next interview, grab a copy of the Complete Interview Answer Guide. You won't be sorry, I guarantee you that. So that's all I have for you today, my friend. Good luck on your next interview, and I will see you in the next video. If you're ready to ace your next interview, then don't leave anything to chance. You can't just show up for a job interview and expect to nail it. You know that. You have to give yourself an advantage. So if you'd like to learn more from me than this video, then I encourage you to grab a copy of the Complete Interview Answer Guide and prepare yourself to answer interview questions the right way. Inside, you're getting my 20 years of interviewing and hiring experience, and I'll teach you what you need to say to employers so they want to hire you. So if it's been a while since your last job interview, or you have an interview today, don't spend countless hours figuring out this stuff. Instead, let me take you by the hand and show you how, right now. When you order your copy from jobinterviewtools.com, you're supporting my channel, my message, and job seekers all over the world. And you're getting a book that has already helped over 1 million people get hired for their #1 job. You'll also get direct email access where you can ask me questions and get my personal take on your situation, so you'll never be alone during your job search. And finally, if you found this video helpful, then give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you get notifications every time I release a new video. And by subscribing, you support me, my message, and this channel, so I'd really appreciate it. Make sure you hit subscribe.